It is a real honor to get to give this speech today. Any of us that are involved in public service know that you don't do it alone. And so I am incredibly grateful for the love and support that I get from my family. I'm honored that several of them are here with us today, including my wife, Susan, my mom, Susie, and my grandfather, who is the dean of the former mayors of Tulsa, Bob LaFortune. We have so many transformative things that are underway in Tulsa right now. But before I go any further, I have some really exciting news to share with you about Amazon. On Amazon's website today, Michael Wallace's new book is for sale for only $19. That is an amazing price. I think everyone here should go online and buy a copy right now, or buy 100 copies, whatever it takes, right? But back to the city. We are thinking big and bold, and we're moving fast on a number of tracks. And I want you to know how lucky I feel to work with this city council and this city auditor. Councilor Vanessa Hall Harper, Jeannie Q, David Patrick, Blake Ewing, Karen Gilbert, Connie Dodson, Anna America, Phil Lakin, and Ben Kimbrough, and City Auditor Kathy Criswell. They are my partners in everything that we do and everything that I'm going to talk about today. This is an outstanding city council, and I am so proud of the working relationship that we have established together over the last year. I'm also thankful to deliver this speech to this particular audience today because so much of the inspiration that we've drawn at the city of Tulsa over the last year has come from the business and philanthropic communities. In December, the council and I adopted a new vision statement for the city of Tulsa. We want to build a globally competitive, world-class city. We're setting aside the regional fights that we've been afflicted by in the past with our neighbors and instead competing on the real playing field of growth in the 21st century, national and international competition. And to do that, we're pursuing a broad range of initiatives. And our models for excellence are great Tulsa businesses. Now, a politician saying that they're going to run government like a business is one of the oldest cliches around. And it's usually just a throwaway line put out there to get applause. And it's typically accompanied, if by any more detail, by things like, we need somebody who knows how to add up a payroll. Or we need somebody who's going to bring in more money than they spend. Or we need to get rid of wasteful employees. And all of that is true. But is that really the bar that we've established for government? That proficiency in firing people, not going bankrupt, and knowing how to add is our standard of excellence? At the city of Tulsa, we're renewing a spirit of high expectations. And so our goal is not just to run the city like any business. Our goal at the city is to run it like a great business. And running the city like a great business starts with your team. During the transition period last year, we had about 5 months between the election and when I was sworn in as mayor. And I took advantage of that opportunity to reach out to a lot of major business leaders in our community to seek their advice on how best to lead an organization the size of the city of Tulsa. And one of those people was the gentleman that was just up here, your incoming chamber chair, the CEO of Bank of Oklahoma, Steve Bradshaw. Steve gave me so many good pointers on what I could do as an executive, but one thing in particular that he suggested stood out among the rest. Every month, Steve meets with a small group of BOK employees selected at random so he can hear from them how to make BOK the best possible place for them to work. I loved this idea and implemented it as soon as I was sworn in as mayor. And so every single month, 6 of our city employees are selected at random and we go out to lunch. And they tell me what it's like to work at the city. I try to find out what I can do to better serve them. And really, they give me very concrete ideas on the best way to build the best work environment in public service here at the city of Tulsa. But best of all, it's given me the opportunity to get to know many of our 3,600 employees at the city as people. And here's what I've found. Your employees at the city of Tulsa are incredible public servants. After years of budget cuts, the folks that are working at the city of Tulsa are doing it because they love to serve. They're not doing it for the great pay. These are the police officers who sprint towards danger to keep you safe. These are the firefighters who run into a burning building to save your mom, or who resuscitate your dad after he's had a heart attack. These are the street crew workers that are out in the ice and the snow clearing your way to work, or who are out cleaning up tornado debris after we had the first tornado to hit Tulsa in August in over half a century. These are the workers who are cleaning the water that you will mix with formula to feed to your newborn. These are the people that are designing the streets that your teenager will learn how to drive on. And they do all of this because they love to serve you. And I am so proud to serve them as their mayor and to be on their team. And so today, thank you. This month's Random Employee Lunch is today. And my teammates from the city of Tulsa are joining me at this table right here. And I would ask that all of you join me in thanking these folks and the people they represent for their service. But we've done more than just go to lunch every month. Chet Cadjo and his team at Quick Trip were very generous in teaching us about their employee feedback process that they use to empower every employee in their company to help them make it the best possible place to work. We've installed the same system at the city of Tulsa, and it's part of our long-term process to make the city government the best place it can be for our employees. Paula Marshall and her team at Bama taught us about their approach to employee wellness, and we use this to overhaul our insurance program and to fundamentally change the way that we help our employees be healthy people. In a flat budget year, the City Council and I prioritized the stabilization of our pension system for the long term, and we budgeted pay increases for those employees who earn them. At the City of Tulsa, all of us are a team. And running the city like a great business also means that your products are excellent. And for us, no service is more important than public safety. The reality is that after years of declining manpower, our police department has not been staffed appropriately, and you see that in the unacceptably high homicide and violent crime rates that have afflicted our city for the last couple of years. We're addressing this with great urgency along two main lines. First, we're presently undergoing the largest single-year hiring of new police officers in Tulsa history. While our average annual academy size in this century is 31 officers, this year we're hiring 90 new officers. We're doing in 1 year what would normally take us about 3. We're hiring 90 new officers this year, the maximum that we are capable of recruiting and training in 1 year, and we are committed to do it again next year. We're also implementing one of the most comprehensive community policing reforms in the nation. In my first month as mayor, I convened the Tulsa Commission on Community Policing and asked them for guidance on how we could best implement community policing in Tulsa. Community policing is the idea that everyday citizens work with police officers to make your community as safe as it can be. Now, some cities do this, and they do it by deploying body cameras, or they have citizen advisory boards, or they improve the training that police officers receive. We are doing all of those and much, much more. In total, the commission made 77 different recommendations, and we at the city are committed to publicly tracking our implementation of every single one of those recommendations. And when it comes to fire protection, we have manpower needs too. Thanks to the help of our congressional delegation, the city received a federal grant to hire 60 new firefighters this year. something that would have taken us years to accomplish if we had to do it on our own. And with a fleet of fire trucks that until just last month counted a 10-year-old truck as its newest, we are overhauling our fleet and deploying new trucks after years of delay. But beyond public safety, we've focused on major infrastructure initiatives. Our medians and rights-of-way are now being mowed at the correct frequency. We've expedited the rewiring of every single highway light in the city of Tulsa after they were stripped by a ring of thieves, and we've arrested the thieves. Yes. Wanted to get that one out of the way so it doesn't come up in Q&A later. We've hired additional street maintenance crews and traffic signal repair crews, and our goal at the city of Tulsa is to deserve the reputation as America's most beautiful city. Now, running the city like a great business also means that we're focused on growth. As I mentioned earlier, we've shifted our focus away from the old parochial skirmishes over outlet malls and reoriented our focus towards national and international competition. Our partnership with the Tulsa Regional Chamber has been incredibly successful along these lines. We had more corporate relocation site visits to Tulsa in the first quarter of this year than we had in all of last year combined. We've landed major new employers like the Greenheck Group, and we've harnessed broad community support behind major initiatives like Amazon. We've expedited the construction timeline of the largest economic development capital improvements program in the history of the city, Vision Tulsa, so that 80% of the projects will be funded in the first 5 years. And what that means for every person in this room is that 5 years from now, you will see a lake in the Arkansas River. You will see people coming from around the world to go to the USA BMX Olympic training and trials in the Greenwood district of North Tulsa. You will get to use a public transportation system that has been transformed through the implementation of bus rapid transit. You will see a facility worthy of the greatest collection of Western art at Gilcrease Museum being built. You will see children having their minds broadened at the Tulsa Children's Museum, and you will see fighter pilots coming from all around the country to train at the new simulator facility at the Oklahoma Air National Guard. All of that, and I haven't even mentioned the opening of the greatest public park gift in the history of the United States of America, the Gathering Place. I have an 8-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son, and I love the fact that my kids are going to grow up taking it as assumed that, of course, the greatest park in the world is in their hometown. We became the first city in Oklahoma to be recognized as a dementia-friendly city by deploying the Dementia Friendly Tulsa Initiative, which empowers local businesses and citizens to both recognize and then interact in a positive way and help our neighbors who suffer from dementia and Alzheimer's. We're making Tulsa a more welcoming place for our newest neighbors by deploying the New Tulsans Initiative, which will connect our growing immigrant community with jobs, education, and opportunities for leadership. And we're partnering with one of the world's great philanthropic foundations, the Rockefeller Foundation, to develop a plan for comprehensively addressing issues of racial disparity that have plagued our city for far too long. We're making long-term investments based on the use of data. Analysis by Tulsa Data Science shows that one of the greatest correlations to whether or not, or to someone's long-term income is whether or not they graduated from high school, if they have a high school diploma. And one of the greatest indicators of whether or not a kid will graduate from high school is their third grade reading proficiency. Yet right now in Tulsa Public Schools, only 50% of our third graders are reading at grade level. But there's a solution to this, and it's called Reading Partners. The premise behind Reading Partners is really simple. An adult spends 1 hour a week practicing reading with a kid, and for kids that go through this program, they have over a 90% success rate at reading at the right level by the time that they're done. So imagine a city where instead of 50% of our kids reading at grade level, 95% of them are. Imagine the impact that makes on the kids. Imagine the difference that makes for their teachers. And they don't need all the money in the world to do this. The only thing that stands between us and success on this is having enough volunteers. Well, I'm proud to say that the city of Tulsa is now the largest employer partner in the country with Reading Partners. Thank you. And what that means is at the end of this school year, we will be able to show you, the citizens of Tulsa, the difference that your City of Tulsa employees made by giving up their lunch break one day a week to make a difference in a kid's life. But we don't want to do this all by ourselves. We believe that every Tulsan and every business has an opportunity to play a part in this. And so if you'd like to join us, and I won't take it personally if you pull your phone out right now, for those of you who haven't already, you can pull out your phone and all you've got to do is text reading to 444-999. If you'll get a prompt back from Reading Partners and they will take it from there to connect you with changing a kid's life. How many things can you do for 1 hour out of your week that will totally change someone's life? Not a lot. We're doing all of this because we believe that a unified, diverse, educated community with tremendous quality of life is going to fuel the economic growth in the years ahead. And that's why we're changing the way that we work with our schools. On my very first day as mayor, we convened the mayor's education cabinet. This consists of our 3 K-12 superintendents, the presidents of our higher ed institutions, and pre-K leaders. The purpose of this group is for them to advise us at the city as to how we can best help them. And it's led to really positive initiatives like the Reading Partners Initiative and like the federal financial aid application drive that the city co-sponsored with the Tulsa Regional Chamber this year. What we found was that millions of dollars were being left on the table every year by Tulsa high school seniors who either didn't know how or were intimidated by the federal financial aid application process, and so they just wouldn't do it. And so we, working with the chamber, connected students with people who could walk them through the process, and we saw a substantial uptick in the number of students who applied for college because they got the financial aid forms filled out correctly. Now, running this city like a great business also means that we are laser focused on outcomes. In December, we established the Office of Performance Strategy and Innovation, and the goal there is to deliver better outcomes through the utilization of data in a very transparent way. We want to basically utilize data to tell us which strategies are delivering results and which strategies aren't. And if a strategy isn't delivering results, we want to take money away from that and put it towards the strategies that are. And anytime I explain this premise to business people, they find it just adorable that we finally figured this out in government. Because business has basically been doing this as long as business has existed. But I'm proud to tell you, Tulsa is an international leader in this field already. I've been asked, as was mentioned earlier, to speak around the country on our approach in this regard. And just last week spoke to an international convening of mayors from around the world, from as far away as New Zealand and South Africa, about our approach in Tulsa to break down the old silos and focus on delivering great outcomes by working together. And so at a time when there is so much division, both nationally and internationally, I want you to know that people around the world are looking at Tulsa as a source of inspiration for how people can work together to solve our greatest problems. A great example of this is the city's active involvement in the Birth to 8 strategy for Tulsa, or BEST. This is helping make Tulsa the best place in the United States to be a baby. Tulsa is a community that will support all parents and children so that each newborn child shares in that core American promise of equal opportunity for all. And the BEST plan, when it is fully implemented, will provide integrated support and services to 32,000 children every year from birth through 8 all across Tulsa. Dozens of organizations are coming together for our children to make this a reality. We're harnessing data to improve our effectiveness, but we're also making it more transparent by putting it online so anyone can utilize it. We've implemented biweekly stat meetings so our departments are held accountable, and we're replacing our quarter-century-old computer systems at the city with new technology that's going to improve our performance dramatically. To put this in perspective, the records management system that our Tulsa Police Department has to rely upon is older than I am. Tomorrow, Apple is going to deploy the iPhone 10, which will be one of the most advanced pieces of technology that human hands have ever gotten to hold at a consumer level. And yet, I want to show you here the computer that Apple issued the year that our police records management system was deployed. Can we see that? Yeah. That is the Apple computer that was put together in Steve Jobs' garage, and it is literally made out of wood. So you see, we have big improvement to make. But our advancements in technology aren't just for us to use at the city. We released the Tulsa 311 app, which you can download at the App Store for your phone, regardless of the kind of phone that you happen to use. And if you see a pothole, or a light that's out, or a stop sign that's down, or an animal that's dead in the street, or whatever you might see out there, you can pull out this app and click on it and report it, and the app will identify where you are and alert city crews to get out there and deal with the situation. Now, focus on outcomes also means that you don't always implement the strategy that you thought you were going to. And that has certainly been the case in our interactions with the county over the jail. My goal in coming in as mayor was to end the fight. And after decades of fighting between the city and the county, we did end it. Now, thank you. Now, is the strategy that we're deploying to do that what we originally set out to pursue? No. But we're not going to go forward any longer having the relationship between the city of Tulsa and Tulsa County defined by a fight. We have too many big things to work on together, and I'm going to talk about one of those here in a moment. So I hope you see that we've accomplished a great deal this year to make Tulsa more like the great businesses that are represented in this room. But I didn't come here to rest on laurels. In a city with high expectations, we're always focused on the road ahead. And so today, I want to share 5 major announcements with you. The first is around real estate development. For years, the city of Tulsa has relied on basically a Frankenstein regulatory monster to manage our real estate development. Not literally, though some in the development community have conveyed it that way to me. Our development process, to be candid, is overly cumbersome, and it has unquestionably hurt our city's ability to grow. And when it comes to development, we're just not competitive enough in Tulsa County, let alone in the nation. And so we've decided that managing the problem isn't enough anymore. We're going to blow up that process, and we're going to start from scratch with an entirely new approach. And we're going to shift to what is called self-certification. Basically, the city will authorize local architects and engineers to certify building code compliance on behalf of their clients instead of running them through the city bureaucracy. The numbers that we expect on this will change that time frame from an average of 30 to 45 days to process to 1 or 2. The city will audit a percentage of those projects, and if a particular architect or engineer isn't doing the job right, they can be removed from the program. The city will not allow high-risk projects like high-rise buildings to participate in this, but the vast majority of construction projects that occur in our community would fall under the ability to use self-certification. The city of Phoenix started this program about 10 years ago, and it has spread rapidly through the southwest United States, but Tulsa will be, we believe, the first city in this part of the country to do this. And so the days of development in Tulsa being cumbersome and time-consuming are drawing to a close. Instead, we are going to have one of the most innovative development processes in the country. Our second... Our second major announcement is around Tulsa's streets. Now, first, it's important to understand what a positive difference our street program has made over the last decade. If we hadn't passed those initiatives, our overall street quality in Tulsa would be a pavement condition index around 42 out of 100. Instead, thanks to you, the voters in Tulsa, we've carried out a record amount of street work and have a pavement condition index of about 69 out of 100. And that reflects a 64% improvement over what it would have been if you had not approved those initiatives. So we are working all over the city. For those of you who haven't seen any street construction, I assure you, we are working all over the city. And we are rehabilitating over 4,500 lane miles from streets that look like this, like that, to streets that look like this. But we still have so much work to do in the years ahead. And we have to do that work to get where we should be. And we need to improve the speed at which these projects occur. And to that end, I'm very pleased to announce the establishment of a task force which will reform our street work process, and it will be chaired by one of the most respected transportation experts in our country, former State Secretary of Transportation Gary Ridley. Secretary Ridley, as was mentioned earlier, Secretary Ridley is here today, and I just want to thank you for finding yet another way to help our city. Thank you. As we continue Tulsa's decade-long focus on street repairs with the general obligation bond renewal in 2018, I'm so eager for this group to help us carry out these projects more efficiently. Now, our third announcement is a very exciting partnership. We want Tulsa to be a national leader. The pioneering work of our philanthropic community has led the New York Times to dub Tulsa Beta City because this is the place where new ideas are being tested from all around the country. And I want us to live up to that standard in all that we do as a community. One of the most important ways we can improve as a community is to better understand what people hope for and expect from their city, what they think of the opportunities and services that are provided, what they do and don't like, what they want to see blossom and what they want to see go away. And to that end, the city of Tulsa is partnering with the world's preeminent opinion research organization, Gallup, to establish the Gallup Tulsa City Voice Index. The Gallup Tulsa City Voice Index will measure the most important outcomes for city residents and will provide local leaders, both in the public, not-for-profit, and even potentially for-profit spaces, with insights that we can use in building the best city possible, and as that ideal is defined by Tulsans. Not only will it be incredibly useful for us in delivering a better city for Tulsans, but we're already hearing that there may be interest from other cities around the country in using the data that's derived here in Tulsa to improve themselves. Our fourth announcement involves Tulsa County. 100 years ago, Tulsa was a rural county. The city of Tulsa had a few thousand people. That was back when my great-granddad, R.N. Bynum, was the mayor of Tulsa and carried a pistol, which I have in my office. The job has changed a little in the last 100 years. But in the intervening 100 years, you've had city after city grow and thrive, and yet we've maintained the same system of governance in our community that we had 100 years ago. And for years, people have talked about a merger of city and county government. And often it's couched in terms of a wholesale merger, like they did in Indianapolis or in Nashville. But recent studies show that cities that try to do that often fail, that by and large, those are very rare instances. And if you try to do the wholesale merger all at once, you're endangering the ability to make meaningful changes at a functional level. And so we are going to start at a functional level. And to that end, I want to announce that Chairman of the Board of County Commissioners, Ron Peters, and I are announcing today the formation of a city-county parks realignment commission. The commission will be composed of several committed park supporters in our community. We've seen city-county authorities work when it comes to our health department, our library system, and river parks. Now we want to have a public and transparent review of potential merger of different aspects of our park systems into one healthy, accessible, well-maintained system for future generations of Tulsans. Our final announcement is perhaps the most urgent one that I'm going to talk about today. In my first year on the City Council in 2008, the most pressing issue that our city faced was the unfunded street repair backlog. Then Mayor Kathy Taylor and the City Council spent months researching how to address the problem and how much it would cost to fix. We engaged Tulsans every step of the way in that discussion. And when it appeared on the ballot in 2008, Tulsans approved the largest streets improvement program in our history. We did more work over the next 5 years on streets than we'd done in the previous 25 years combined. So then go ahead 5 years to 2013. We knew the job wasn't finished on streets. And so the City Council and then Mayor Dewey Bartlett worked to renew that street program. Again, we were very thorough in analyzing what it would cost, what it would look like. We engaged citizens every step of the way. And when we brought it up for a vote, voters approved a 50% increase for street funding over what had previously been the largest streets improvement program in our history. Then the most pressing issue facing Tulsa was that we didn't have enough police officers. But no one could tell us how many we needed. And so the philanthropic community brought in one of the foremost crime experts in the nation, and she spent months with our police department looking at how many officers we have, how they're deployed, what our manpower levels look like, what types of crimes they respond to. And she came back and told us how many officers we needed. And so then we worked as a city government. We were very transparent with the citizens. We involved citizens every step of the way. And last year, voters approved the Vision Public Safety Initiative, which funds the hiring of 160 new police officers and 65 firefighters. Then we didn't feel like we were competitive enough when it comes to recruitment and retention. And so we spent 3 years putting together Vision Tulsa, the largest economic development capital program in our city's history. Again, we were very transparent. We engaged all Tulsans in the process. Anyone that had an idea could bring it forward. We were very thorough in looking at what it would cost and how it would look like once it was deployed. And when we took it out, voters approved it by a 2-to-1 basis. So what, after you've just heard what I've told you, is the lesson of Tulsa in the last decade? My takeaway is that when we are united as a city, and when the city government shoots straight with the citizens of Tulsa and involves the citizens of Tulsa every step of the way, we fix whatever it is we've identified is our greatest problem. We've done that over and over and over again for the last 10 years. Well, I'm here to tell you that the quality of our local education system is the greatest economic development challenge that we face today. It is the greatest criminal justice challenge that we face today. It is the greatest quality of life challenge that we face today. And if you look at the history of our city over the last decade, I have 100% confidence that if the voters of Tulsa were given the opportunity to fix that problem, you would, but you can't. As the way our state funding formula is set up right now, if you were to pass a property tax to pay our teachers what they ought to be paid so they don't flee to Arkansas or Texas, we would be punished. We would have an equivalent amount taken away from our allocation from the state. We would be punished for trying to help. And so this upcoming legislative session, we're going to try and change that dynamic. We're going to quit waiting for somebody else to fix the problem and try to empower Tulsans to do it themselves. I'm so thankful that this is part of the One Voice legislative agenda, but that's not going to be enough. We need every family, every parent, every grandparent, every business, every person that cares about the future of this community to contact your legislators and let them know we just want to help, but we need their permission to help. I believe that if they will let us help, we can bring forward a proposal that will make Tulsa competitive with any city in the country when it comes to K through 12 education. but we need permission to help. I want to thank you again for the opportunity today to speak with you. It's kind of creepy standing underneath two pictures of myself. There we go. But it is an exciting time right now to see so many people in our community working together to move it forward. And I am so proud to be the mayor of this city. It has been my dream job since I was 8 years old, and we have so much to do moving forward, and we have the people in place to make it happen. Our best days are ahead. Thank you.